So we've got the Raiders playing the Bears on a Sunday morning game. Mike, what can we expect out of this matchup?
The Raiders will be in Chicago. At least I'm fairly positive. Um, I'm expecting two teams to trot out backup quarterbacks. I don't think Justin Fields is going to play because he has a dislocated throwing thumb. And Jimmy Garoppolo, I do not expect to play because of whatever is going on with his back injury. Um, and honestly, I'm honestly mixed on who should start at quarterback for the Raiders because you know 2 or 3 weeks ago against
The
the
Chargers.
Chargers, I was really pulling for Aiden O'Connell to play, and he did. And they kind of made it seem like, oh, it was secretly going to happen all along. Like as the week went on, he got more and more practice snaps. But I don't know. Like the rumor going in to that game was, oh, Brian Hoyer's going to start. And all season, Brian Hoyer has been the number 2 quarterback on the active roster, and then Aiden O'Connell has been inactive, acting as the emergency quarterback. He's dressed and ready to go, but only if Jimmy and
Oh,
Hoyer both go down.
yeah.
Um, and I now looking at it, that's been pretty wise because I I thought Hoyer was okay. Like I said in the previous topic, he threw a 48-yard pass to Trey Tucker, which is our longest game or longest play from scrimmage this season.
Did
Now, I'm
it
not
result
expecting.
in? It resulted in points, right?
I'm sure it resulted in a field goal. My only
Mhm.
issue with Hoyer is that he didn't score a touchdown when he was the quarterback for the Raiders against the Patriots. He was able to get them down the field and score maybe twice, both field goals. But yeah, he didn't lead a touchdown drive against a pretty shitty defense on the Patriots. Um, I think the Bears are a team that you can score on. Um, but man, that's going to be embarrassing if they don't. You know, I think what's obvious is uh, Hoyer. Well, one of the two will be the starter. I really don't know who. It's entirely possible that they decide to go with um,
O'Connell.
O'Connell again just to get him more reps. But I think what makes more sense to me is to have Hoyer be the starter because he at least looked okay. And he was throwing the ball, in my opinion, like a backup would, whereas O'Connell was playing against the Chargers like a rookie would, you know?
Mm.
And I think this is a stretch of games where, especially after losing that Charger game, we need to win. So I think they likely go with Hoyer, and then O'Connell will be active and ready to go in case of emergency, behind Hoyer. Uh, Other than that, I mean, like I've been saying, I need to see Jacobs get it going. They gave him 25 carries against the Patriots. I give him 30 against the Bears, honestly. Just develop the run, man. And again, this is a game where you can do it. So do it. Um, and get Devontae going too, because there were issues between Hoyer and Devontae, not like actually, jawing at each other or anything, but just they couldn't connect quite well. And I think that'll probably be an emphasis this week. Um, and again, I want to see Michael Mayer, you know, continuing his uptick in production. And it feels like Mayer is kind of he's been oh gosh, what's the word? He's been almost the centerpiece on the opening game script for the offense, and then he kind of goes away for a while, and then maybe gets like one catch later in the game. I like to see him consistently get targets throughout the game. That's what I like to see. And then on defense, I mean, like I said, it should be a backup quarterback on a team that's already super hurt at running back. Um, they have DJ Moore at wide receiver, but really everybody else is kind of on and off between I'm forgetting the other guy's name, but they also have the tight end Cole Kmet. I'm sure their offensive line isn't that good for the Bears, so I'd like to see another really good game from the defense for the Raiders. And I hope, because the season is not going to be this easy, for the Raiders. It's going to start getting really hard, especially week 8, the following week against the Lions. But I'd like to think that maybe this Packers, Patriots, Bears run can get the defense in a nice streak, of playing really good, hopefully consistent defense, to where maybe when they face the Lions or the Vikings or whoever they face upcoming, they can play really, really well and actually truly win the game for the Raiders, because that's kind of been their MO the past couple weeks, is like, oh, the defense is winning the game for the Raiders and the offense is kind of not. But when you face a really good team, that's when we'll actually know if they can or not. Because I feel like the Buccaneers, shit. I just read a tweet. The Patriots and the Packers, the way that those games played out, it's like I can't really gauge how good the defense is against those offenses. So, other than that, I'm looking for a win. I expect a win against this Bears team.
So you predict the Raiders will win?
Yeah.
See, I'm going to shock you right now.
Do it.
With all the problems with the Bears, their lack of quarterback, their lack of running back, and their defense that just allows a lot of points, I'm going to go ahead and take the Raiders. I know, shocking, right? I don't see a scenario where even though the Raiders are also going to play their backup quarterback or third string quarterback, I don't see a scenario where the Bears walk away with a win in this game, unless like DJ Moore just completely like carries the team on their back and like Hoyer is absolutely like shitting the bed.
Yeah.
I would be more willing to bet that the Raiders are going to perform a little. Like, I feel like the drop off from Justin Fields to their backup quarterback is a much bigger drop off from, compared to like Jimmy Garoppolo to Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell. So I think no matter who starts for the Raiders, they're just going to outscore the Bears, I think.
Yeah. And actually you saying all that really makes me hope that Aiden O'Connell is a starter, because I'd like to see him get really good game reps. Where, I mean, this is borderline a preseason game. It really, that's what it kind of feels like, in a similar way to the Charger game, except the Chargers had Khalil Mack, breathing down his fucking neck all game. I don't know if the Bears have a guy like that. I know they have Tremaine Edmonds at a linebacker, but I feel like he hasn't had that good of a season. So I feel like this is another game where you could just trot O'Connell out there and tell him, hey, you got Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, now Michael Mayer's playing good. Go get it done,
Yeah. I would also start O'Connell. I understand having Brian Hoyer be the backup to come in for Garoppolo, during a game where Jimmy's playing, because I feel like Hoyer and Garoppolo are a little bit more similar to one another than O'Connell and Garoppolo. O'Connell, I feel like, has potential to be better than Jimmy, but he just has to get there. And I think this is a good opportunity to get him game reps. And I mean, here's the good thing. If O'Connell starts and if he sucks, you guys are closer to getting a guy like Caleb Williams. If O'Connell starts and he's good, then you guys win the game and have a winning record. So, and then there's the third scenario, which is the most likely Raiders scenario, where you do neither. You start Hoyer and, either this
we barely squeak out a win.
Yeah, you barely squeak out a win, or you lose in the most embarrassing fashion. So, yeah, I want O'Connell. I'm picking the Raiders. Mike, Raiders?
Yeah, I'm picking the Raiders. You do bring up a good point too, because I think Hoyer is probably the like okay when the game script is Jimmy G, like Hoyer is the best suited to come in case Jimmy G gets hurt and try to replicate that, whereas O'Connell likely needs a full week of practice to set up for the game that he's going to play in. You know, so yeah, I really like the idea of O'Connell starting and then Hoyer being the backup. And then, when Jimmy G's playing, Hoyer being the number two, it makes more sense.
Um, I was trying to quickly look for that one meme where it's like, oh man, look at that throw. And man, we should have been had a quarterback like this. You know which meme I'm talking about?
No.
Where it's like when the backup quarterback comes in and like starts playing hella well. Like they always do this whenever like for example, when Trey Lance got traded to the Cowboys, and then it's like, oh, all the Cowboys receivers, man, look at the way he throws the ball. We should have been had a quarterback like this, and Prescott's just like kind of looking like what?
Yeah.
Reacting to the receivers' comments.
It's funny actually. This will be my last thing on the Raiders, and it's really not about the Raiders. This past Saturday, I want to say it was Saturday, USC played Notre Dame, I think, and apparently Caleb Williams had a horrible game, like 3 interceptions. I don't know what the score was, but that's all I kind of heard. And I know it's one game, but I kind of sat there like, man, what if he's actually not that good? And maybe like the best quarterback out of this draft will be Drake May. And Caleb Williams will get drafted by like a shitty franchise, like say the Bears are going to have the first overall pick most likely because they have like the Panthers pick and their own.
And then they ruin them.
Yeah, and then they ruin them. And like Caleb Williams seems like one of those guys that does think for himself when he plays, and usually it is beautiful. But what if he gets the NFL, and who's to say it's not like this past weekend where it's 3 interceptions, maybe 1 touchdown, and just a lot of struggles, especially obviously early on in his career. But what if? Whereas like a Drake May might be the more, I don't know if I'd say that he's the more priority quarterback because honestly I don't know, but it's interesting to think.
I just have to say, like, I hope it doesn't seem crazy that I think this, and I could absolutely be wrong, but I'll word it like this. I'm not confident, or I don't know that Caleb Williams' play will translate to the NFL, because all the highlights that they show him just, the pocket is wide open. He's running, outrunning linemen and escaping wherever he wants to go and then find somebody. It's very impressive. The throws that he makes on the run, it's incredible. But
yeah,
the whole game where like he just gets to stand that comfortably in the pocket, that shit doesn't work in the NFL.
Yeah, honestly, like the way I've kind of looked at him, yeah, like what I've heard is like, oh, he has the best chance out of any quarterback to be like not the next Mahomes, but something similar to Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way I've always looked at him is like, oh, he's kind of like Kyler Murray coming out. And I mean, Kyler Murray, when he got to the NFL, like he was good. And he's still very well should be good when he comes back. It's just a matter of him being healthy. But the more I think about it, the more I wonder if is Caleb Williams, I guess hopefully, like a rich man's Bryce Young, where Bryce Young was doing the same thing where he was making these ridiculous plays, but I mean, look at him on the Panthers. Like they're the one team that doesn't have a win this season, I want to say. And I mean, he's a rookie. It's kind of expected, and the Panthers are not a very good team on paper, but still, it's like yeah, it's very likely that it will take time for those sorts of quarterbacks. But it also, it's going to take time for any quarterback that gets drafted to a team that's like bottom of the barrel, which is kind of why, like, I feel like the Raiders roster isn't bottom of the barrel. If you put a special quarterback on this roster, they could be a playoff team, It's like, part of me feels like they could trade up, get a top quarterback, and then in a year, like, be a contender, especially if they fix the defense in that time as well. But it's all theoretical, and who the hell knows?
Mhm.
But yeah, I have the Raiders against the Bears. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think we're ready to move on, but you got the Raiders. I got the Raiders.